14. Letting time pass. Recovery, like all healing, must be given time. Understandably, the nervously ill person is impatient with time and wants immediate appeasement. But impatience means tension. Tension is the enemy of healing. The sufferer removes a big obstacle to recovery when he understands that sensitization is a chemical process and needs time for chemical readjustment. A still sensitized body can be deceptively calm in a calm atmosphere, but a body even only slightly sensitized cannot always maintain calmness when under renewed stress. So time, more time, must pass. Time itself is a healer. It's rather like the donkey and the carrot. The carrot, recovery, must be shifted just a little further forward during each setback, but always remain within sight. I'm often asked how long recovery will take. So much depends on the degree of sensitization and the circumstances of recovery. There may be constant strain. For example, trying to recover while living with an upsetting domestic situation. Also, it takes time to blunt a memory's cutting edge. We can't anesthetize memory. Indeed, when surprised by some grueling memory, who can suppress an inner shudder? And yet, the person trying to recover from nervous illness seems to think he should. He wants the balm of constant peace. It is difficult to understand that a body's sensitized reaction to memory is no more than the working of a natural law. Difficult to understand that setback is not always a setback in the sense that it sets back, but should be even expected and accepted as part of recovery. Its victim is much more likely to believe that some strange jinx is bugging him. His jinx is his lack of understanding. When so close to past upsetting experiences, and with the body still tuned to give a too quick, too intense reaction to memory's prodding, it is natural to be too easily bluffed by memory into thinking he will never recover. When memory first strikes, it's as if the sufferer has learned nothing from past experience. The symptoms he'd learned to disregard suddenly begin to matter again, very much. And before he has time to study himself enough to think clearly, he feels sucked willy-nilly into the whirlpool of setback. However, if he had originally worked his way out of suffering the hard way, by having truly faced and lived with his symptoms while accepting them, having conquered adding second fear of symptoms, especially fear of panic, then memory of his original recovery gradually awakens the little inner voice that says, "You've come out of it before, you can do it now. You know that these symptoms do not really matter." He hears this voice with thanksgiving and relief, because with it comes a special feeling, a realization that the symptoms really do not matter. He now feels this, doesn't just think it as he did at the beginning of setback. He now feels it with relief. Fear gradually goes, relaxation and peace come. He is on the way to true recovery. Recovery is built on repeated experiences of discovering that symptoms no longer matter. When enough setbacks bring enough such experiences, the feeling of symptoms no longer mattering comes more quickly, is more forceful, and the impact of memory shock becomes weaker and weaker until it is but an echo of a former suffering. It is possible because memory can shock by bringing back old symptoms so vividly that some therapists speak pessimistically about complete recovery. Indeed, they do not recognize that setback is one of the best teachers and an almost essential halting place in recovery because it gives more time to relearn and practice. Not understanding this, they fail to prepare their patients optimistically for possible setback. At some point in nervous illness, the sufferer may be so ill he no longer cares what happens. However, as he begins to recover, caring returns, and this may be complicated by his feeling that although much better, he cannot face the future demands and responsibilities of normal living. At such a time, he is often accused of not wanting to get better. Make no mistake, he wants to recover, but at the same time, the prospect of coping with the demands of recovery may be so frightening while he is in his present state of only partial recovery that he almost convinces himself that the criticism may be true. Another bewilderment in nervous illness. Enough time must pass to provide a protective layer of normal responses to help him gradually find his balance in normal living, to take normal reaction for granted. As his body strengthens, his spirits rise, optimism and confidence return. The process may be so gradual, he may be unaware of it. It is this gradualness that makes all possible. and only the passage of enough time can bring such gradualness. A Dutchman once said to Vera Brittain, an English author, that after World War II, the Dutch was suffering from a spiritual sickness which time and understanding alone would heal. He said that suffering could not be erased the moment the war ended and peace came. Time was necessary for the Dutch to regain their balance, their ability to be on top of events, including their own lives. He added, "Be patient with us. We must grow into liberty." And so must the nervously ill person grow into recovery. There is no electric switch, no overnight cure. When the sufferer is beginning to recover, he is not only vulnerable to memory, but also is particularly vulnerable to the tricks any remaining fatigue may play. For example, distinguishing between normal fatigue and some remnant of nervous fatigue can baffle. The sufferer is apt to mistake any fatigue as nervous and jump to the upsetting conclusion that recovery is further away than he had thought. One woman, although much better, was so apprehensively suggestible that when she had made foolish mistakes playing chess, she always blamed lingering illness and became worried. But she made foolish mistakes at chess before she was ill. Many nervously ill people expect recovery to bring a state of peace they never previously felt. As already mentioned, for many people, peace is often further delayed by their too fearful and too tense recoil from a binding awareness of self, the result of months, even years of concentration on themselves and their illness. They delay their own recovery by trying to force forgetfulness. Nothing can be forced in nervous illness. The only way to lose consciousness of self is to accept it, to accept any thought that comes as part of ordinary thinking. This means that they should think about themselves and their illness as much as the habit demands, and realize that it is only a habit fostered by mental fatigue. Once more, I stress that the key to recovery is not in forgetting, but in no longer mattering, and for this, time must pass. When the patient realizes that the intensity of his reaction is part of his sensitization, and that if he accepts it and lets more time pass, those reactions will gradually become normal, then intense reaction can be borne more philosophically. This is sometimes called regaining one's balance, and as the Dutchman said to Vera Brittain, it takes time.